In the early 1700s, in the town of Derby, England, lived a man named John Lombe. And he envisioned something that no one had thought of before. He thought of taking the beautiful, delicate, fine silk of Italy, bringing it back to England and producing it faster and better than they could. John Lombe's family traded this fine, delicate, beautiful Italian silk, and John wanted to figure out how to make it. So he went to Italy, to Piedmont, and went into a factory and learned their secrets.
What was the secret from Italy?
So the secret is the silkworm makes this cocoon, and this cocoon is one continuous string, and that's silk. So they would take this cocoon, they would put it in warm water, and then it would release. And then they would have one long string, very similar to like a spider web. So it's a little stronger than a spider web. They'd have to take these silk cocoons, spread them all out, and then wind them together. This is the process that the Italians had done with their silk looms. And this is what John wanted to figure out. So he went there, not as a trader, not as a merchant, not as a visitor, but he actually wanted to get their secrets. But it was similar to how they did glass. If they knew you were spying, they'd kill you. So he risked everything in order to get this secret. And he had to sneak into the factory, work with them, they think, and somehow remember how these machines worked. And he had to draw the gears, he had to draw the spindles, he had to figure out everything and then bring it back and recreate it in a bigger capacity.
Italy was far ahead in manufacturing and in factories development in general.
Their machines worked a little bit better, and they made the silk tighter, and it was just the finest. They did the same with glass. They did the same with painting. The Italians just had this way of doing things. But what the British had innovations. They had unimpeded scientific conversations between each other, so they could basically build on each other's adaptations and innovations much quicker than any other country. So Britain was the perfect place to take the Italian silk production and ramp it up and then have it mechanized. And that's what he was going to do. He was going to be the first. And in so doing, he was going to blow the lid off silk production. So John Lombe is a spy. He's working in these factories. He's secretly trying to draw these plans up, probably by candlelight, and completely on the down low. He can't be seen. He can't be known to be taking their secrets, or he's dead. So he comes back to England with these blueprints, and these blueprints are probably smuggled somewhere with his belongings. And apparently he brought some Italian friends along to help him with this whole process. He gets home, he starts talking with his brother Thomas, and they begin production of this mill on the River Derwent. He gets his friend George Soracold, and this guy's an expert in making a water wheel. The water wheel is going to power this mill. And they start to build something that's never successfully been built in England before. England's the place to do it. George Soracold's the guy to help, but John Lombe's the man that's going to make this happen. He's going to take the Italian technology, he's going to mechanize it, build it, and have the river run it. John took the plans sometime around 1718, and the mill is completed in 1721. So he's got this mill built. It runs for 12 to 14 hours a day, run by the River Derwent, and it is a cathedral of modern engineering. It is something that's never been seen before. It's actually hard to understand, and the people don't really know what to make of it. All they know is that if they work there, they get a consistent wage, and they produce 10 times more silk than anyone ever had before. Inside the mill, the machines never slept. 12 to 14 hours they ran 6 days a week. Children as young as 6 years old were working on these machines. And it was the first time in human history that people worked at the pace of a river, not at the pace of a person. The river determined the speed in which we worked, not us. And this was a significant change. We no longer chose the speed in which we worked. We worked at the speed of something else that dictated our rhythm. In the cottage industry, whole families worked together, and it was seen as normal. Little kids worked, parents worked, the middle-aged kids worked. But now in the factory, when they take the kids, it's not the same. It's colder. The kids are working way too hard, way too fast, and it's calculated. It's 12 to 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, and it's not the same vibe as in the cottage industry at home. It's a scary place for children to work. And in order to keep this thing working, everyone has to work. Everyone has to work fast. So there's beatings, there's screaming, there's yelling. It's not a safe, fun place for a kid to be like when they worked at home.
It sounds like really scary. So, as slave to the river. So, sounds like a title of the film, a horror film.
It sounds scary, but I think we are actually part of it. I mean, we have watches, we have alarms, and it's not as bad as it was for them, but we still feel that ominous pace. I mean, in the 20th century, the second industrial revolution, we come up with the term stress. Well, we didn't come up with it, but we apply it to ourselves. It used to be a term for engineers, like bridges and how much stress something could handle. But when we did factories, when factories became more popular, we applied the term stress to ourselves, describing how we felt, how close we were to breaking. So this starts in 1721 in Lombe's mill. The idea that how much can humans take as being applied to work? It's I don't know how to describe it. It's not right.
It's the beginning of the new world, basically.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Well, better. You have consistent income. Eventually, in the 1800s, you get a minimum wage, the minimum amount they can pay you, but you have to work really hard for it. And you lose yourself. 1 week of work in the factory could outpace a month's worth of work done in a cottage, done by a family. So with all their ills, with the long working hours and the terrible pace of life, we couldn't go back to the way things were before. Once we tasted efficiency, we were hooked. And within a year of that creation, John Lombe was dead. He was 28 years old, and there's a couple of ideas for why he died. One was that he was poisoned by an agent sent from the Italian government, a woman that fed him a cup of tea that was poisoned. Other people, interestingly, thought maybe the river killed him or the earth killed him because he had harnessed the power of nature and he had disturbed the flow of the river. I think it also speaks to how people felt about working there. They felt it was terrible, something that maybe the earth would want to pay him back or get revenge. And both stories do have a note of revenge. Revenge from the Italian government for stealing his secrets, and revenge from the earth for disrupting the flow of the river. So you could kind of tell that people weren't in love with this guy, even though he had brought about a change that brought on the modern world, modern cities, modern production, and the way we live today. In 1721, on the banks of the River Derwent in England, something new was happening. They were building a building. It wasn't a church, it wasn't a temple, it was a machine. This building was for producing, and it produced silk faster and better than anyone else in the world. They took the secrets from the Italians, they mechanized it, they put tons of machine on this 5-story building, and they produced silk like no one had ever seen before. This wasn't a friendly building or a friendly machine. This was an obtrusive overlord that controlled the lives of everyone that worked there, even the owner.